My brothers and sisters, may the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The mother of Jesus and his brothers arrived at the house. Standing outside, they sent word to Jesus and called him. A crowd seated around him told him, "Your mother and your brothers and your sisters are outside asking for you." But he said to them in reply, "Who are my mother and my brothers?" And looking around at those seated in the circle, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother." The Gospel of the Lord. As St. Mark continues to unfold for us the ministry of Jesus, we see in chapter 3 how all of a sudden things begin to kind of accelerate in this kind of radical change that Jesus suggests in relationship between himself and the world and us and our brothers and sisters. We find today specifically that he is teaching in the synagogue, or teaching in a house rather, and the place is very crowded, and his family comes and he gets word of the fact the family is there. And rather than taking this moment to stand away and to see the family, he takes it in a whole different direction. And we can't understand how radical this would have been at the time. Within the culture of Israel, family was paramount. Family gave identity to an individual. Your relationships with those members of your family marked who you were and what your life and your future would be. And so for Jesus to take away from that kind of image for a little bit and put it in a whole different light must have been very, very shocking to those as they listened to it. In some ways it's even shocking to us, I suppose, when it seems as if he's not paying attention to the family as they come. And yet Jesus is making a very powerful point, that the relationship we have with God goes beyond blood ties, and that it is not the blood ties ultimately that mark us as to who we are before God. It is rather how we are before God and what we are before God. And so he suggests that anybody who does the will of the Father is mother and brother or sister to him. That surely says to us on two levels a challenge. On one, to constantly keep trying to focus our attention on his ways rather than our own. And secondly, to recognize that the priorities must always be in such a way that first and foremost is that relationship with God. That in turn ends up having a respect for our individual family and concerns, but as a secondary thing in comparison to our relationship with God. Let us pray we have the grace to do that and to recognize where our values should be.